Good afternoon, everybody. Here we go for another day and another week of bringing you guys nothing but the best content. As we today have another guest on our show, the Sandman Sports. But remember, we are live on all social media platforms, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and again, man, please remember to hit that like and subscribe button on our YouTube channel and also on that follow on all the social media platforms. As I said, we have a guest today, a man who has traveled the world to represent South Africa, man. He has played in two World Cups, if I'm not mistaken, Commonwealths, and two Olympics. That is none other than Mr. Gowan Jones. How are you going?
Yeah, right, and you, well, nice to be here tonight, and yeah, thanks for getting me involved here. It's epic.
Yeah, man. I mean, I've been trying to get you to come in and join us for like a while now, and I'm happy to finally have you here. Finally, like to have someone who's gone a long way to represent his country, having to leave his family behind, all in the name of representing his country and doing what he loves best, which is play hockey. And I mean, that must not be an easy thing to do, but thank you very much also for doing it and certain sacrifices you make. I mean, we're gonna touch base on everything, your journey, how you got into hockey, where are you now, basically going back to your days in high school, and then you to going on to represent SA in the Paris Olympics earlier in the year,
Sure.
of which that has been an amazing journey, you know. But for now, I'll just ask you, I think, a simple question, a question that you get asked a lot whenever you're doing these type of shows or podcasts is who is Gowan Jones and where does Gowan Jones basically, where does the love of hockey come from? And also, you play in a position that not many people like being in. Everyone likes to be the superstar, the main attraction, which is being the one scoring the goals, getting the glory. Who is Gowan Jones and where does the love of hockey start and come from?
Yeah, Gowan Jones is 35 years old. I've been around for a while. I
Yeah.
started playing soccer when I was younger. My dad was quite involved in soccer. So that's kind of where the whole sport thing started. Back then, and we moved around with my dad being transferred with his job and stuff, and ended up in Bloem.
Mm.
The soccer scene wasn't that big or as big as it was in Durban when we left. I think we were lucky that one of my friends at school, his dad was the owner of Bloem Celtic at the time, so we got to have a bit of football through that avenue. And yeah, I started playing hockey randomly. Went to a training session and had a stick. My mom played a bit of hockey when she was at school, not very good, but she was there. She participated and everything. And yeah, I got one training session under the belt, and the next training session, the coach asked, "Does anybody want to put the kits on?" And I thought, sure, this bag looks really cool. Looks like it's got some magical things inside of it. And yeah, I put the kits on. I think it was back in grade six,
Mm.
and yeah, just carried on playing hockey since there. We ended up moving back to Durban. I went to Northwood Boys, um, played a whole variety of sports there: cricket, hockey, soccer there as well. And then yeah, hockey just kind of stayed. It just stuck around. I got involved in a club setup at Riverside, and yeah, just got hooked from there and just enjoyed it. And it's one of those sports where you meet so many people along the way, and you might have a really bad game, and somebody comes up to you and it's like, "Hey man, just keep going." And then you think, yeah, it'll be okay. I'll go to the next practice and work a little bit harder, and stick around. And yeah, I think that's kind of been it for me. I enjoy putting the kits on. I enjoy going down to training. Even if it's weather like it is tonight down in Durbs, yeah, it's still enjoyable. It's an out for me to put the kits on and have people hit the ball at me, which sounds very weird, but yeah, us goalkeepers are a special breed of human, and we are the team within a team. You know, everyone,
Yeah.
like you said, you've got the forwards who want to get all the glory of scoring goals, but sometimes it's the goalkeeper that makes that magical save at the end who also gets the glory for that. So
Yeah, yeah, I can see. I can see.
yeah, he also wants to be involved in this. Yeah, but yeah, I suppose that's part of life. Man. You got to just roll with the
Yeah.
punches. I've just come back from Namibia now on a school tour, so I haven't seen them for a week. So
Oh man, sorry.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
no,
But I mean, that's very like you touch base there on going on to play club hockey and high school. You at Northlands and basically Riverside and Northlands. I mean, at Northlands, you are well now. Regard you have a name at the school, like the Astro Turf is named Jones Astro. That must be amazing. It must show basically the sacrifices you made along the way kind of paid off, in the sense of you represented the school with pride. They were able to honor you enough on going on to name a piece of land after you yourself, and also your name, your last name also is gonna stay there for I don't know for the next 100 years possibly also. And with Riverside, comparing club hockey and high school, I know you must have played both. How were the challenges of going on coming from club to high school? The You find that at high school level, not many play club, but at high school, most people who play hockey at high school level, they just stay for the vibes and the leisure. How did you take the challenge of basically being able to switch on both from being a competitor, also from also being being there with the boys and just enjoying and having fun before we go on to basically accolades as representing SA.
like you said, it's often just there. You know, you're there for the chias and you're there to be around your mates, and you know, it's cool on a Saturday afternoon. You go play a hockey match with guys who you still end up being friends with today after all these years of being out of school. But club hockey just offers something completely different. At Riverside, there were guys there who were provincial players back then, who were national players back then. And that's the beauty of club, is that you get to rub shoulders with these guys who have done things that you haven't even done yet, and you get to pick their brain and you get to find out information from them about how did you do it, what did your journey look like to get to where you are. When you're at school playing schoolboy hockey or schoolboy sports, you've got guys who are the same age as you. They're also there just to have a bit of fun and do some extramural stuff. But I've always been a competitive person. So
Yeah,
whether I was playing school sport or club sport, it was the same to me. It's the same stick and ball game. We use the same sticks, the same ball for both school and club, and you have to treat it exactly the same way. And I think that's where maybe some youngsters get where they maybe prioritize one over the other. Where I think from a club perspective, you can gain sure the value out of club sport is incredible. Yeah, but you got to treat them both with equal respect, and I think
yeah.
that's how you then get the most out of both those environments.
How does it feel like? How does it feel having your name at Northwood? Your last name at Northwood, because I'm sure your son, look, your son knows nothing about it right now. You know, he doesn't. He doesn't realize the amount of sacrifices you made. You know, he doesn't realize the amount of sacrifices you made. And also, sacrifice that dad makes to be able to go overseas and play. For you, what does game add after you?
When I didn't even know it was going to happen, and I got invited to an old boys dinner, and I was like, sure, I don't know why we're going, why we're going there, sort of thing. It's not my year to, to go back and stuff. And then they pulled it out and said, yeah, the Astro named after you, and it was. Yeah, it was really, really special. It's incredible to have something named after you. I mean, even if it was, something else, just to have something named after you and just have that acknowledgement from an institution as all the hard work and the sacrifice that you put in. And I don't think it's just that. I mean, their 5 years of high school and they do everything that they need to do and stuff like that. And yeah, been back to the school quite a bit. I mean, I still coach the goalkeepers there at the moment, so it's not like I took my 5 years and said thank you so much, and then I never came back. And I think that's what it's about. It's about leaving that legacy, whether the legacy was my name on a plaque, or in a field named after me, or it was one of the youngsters coming out saying, sure, I was coached by Gowan. He was an Northwood Old Boy. Like that's also really special to have that behind you.
Yeah, I mean, now you go on to represent SA. How does that call come along? Like, take me back to you finally receiving a call, that first call telling you where either the coaches or the selectors of the national side, where they are on some Gowan, you are in. We're inviting you for camp to see if you fit in our system for the SA men's side. How does that call come, and where are you, and how is the level of pride basically also in yourself, in the sense of all the sacrifices? I think we're going to talk about all the sacrifices you've made, also, putting your body on the line to get where you are right now. And where are you, and how does the call come along, basically?
I missed out on the whole under 21 age group part, so I never got my national colors as an under 21 player, so I was out of the system completely. A few interprovincial tournaments obviously showed my worth there with some of the other national players, playing against them and with them. And yeah, it was in 2010 I got a call up to go to a training camp. We had a training camp in Joburg, and yeah, it was something that you can't explain to anyone how, as a new guy, not knowing what to expect. And these coaches are, they're hard on you, but they're also fair. They demand a lot of you. And I think even now, I've been in the system since 2010, and you go to a camp and you're always learning something new. But I spent the first 3 years as a training goalkeeper. I just got invited to training camps, and the other 3 goalkeepers that were in the mix for selection always went onto the other side of the field. I was thrown across onto the other side with the forwards that needed to practice their goal scoring, and I would end up just being peppered by the forwards for 45 minutes, an hour sort of thing, and that was my job. And I was happy to have that as my job, and to learn from that, and gain some experience from that. And I think that also paved a way for me to know what the other guys are experiencing when they come into the setup. As a youngster into the group. But I got my first call up in 2010 to go to a training camp. I spent 3 years. Training. I missed out on an Olympic cycle for London 2012.
Yeah.
So I dislocated my shoulder in 2011,
Mm.
and try to rehab it, try to fix it and all of that stuff and get it right and everything. And then I got a call up to go. I booked my surgery for a Monday morning, and I got a call on a Friday evening from our coach at the time, Greg Clark, to come to a training camp in Bloem and potentially get my first cap against the Germans. And I thought, sure, this is really cool. But I had the problem that I'd booked a surgery on Monday. And I had to have a chat with the orthopedic who did my shoulder. And he basically said, well, listen, you've got two chances. Either you go to the training camp, you play, but if your shoulder dislocates, we have to wait a few weeks to let it settle, and then we can fix it. Or we fix it now, and then you get yourself fit and you go back later. So I chose the second option, to have my shoulder done. And when I had that done, the fifth choice goalkeeper at the time ended up going to Bloem and getting his first cap. So out of nowhere, going to getting a first cap, and then after that, going to the Olympic qualifiers in China, where they qualified for London. So
Yeah.
I missed out on a whole thing. Yeah, making a decision to fix my shoulder and do all of that. And I got a chance in 2013. We had a training camp with a new coach in Cape Town. And they had a really good training camp. And on the last day of camp, which was really weird because they don't normally do it like this, as classic schoolboy, they sat us down in a tent and said, "Hey, congratulations to the 18 of you that have been selected," and they, called your name out. It was very strange to have that done as a national side. Normally, if we're in the hotel, we get a letter with a "Congratulations, you've made it," or "Sorry, you haven't made it, but good luck next time."
Yeah.
So it's a good tough 3 years there, but good 3 years.
And then you finally get selected to go play in the 2014 World Cup. I mean, I'm sure this from the shoulder injury, missing out in London, and then now the World Cup, you get bless you there. You get called up for London. I mean, I'm sure you looked at that and you're like, you know what? I was lucky enough. I'm glad I took that option and fixing my shoulder, and then waiting for my time to finally get picked for a major tournament. And then 2014 comes along. That must have been also a proud moment, not just for you but also for your family, I'm sure.
That was a really special time. I mean, I remember waiting for a message. Yes, we waited for about a week for the team to be, signed off by the powers that be and everything. And I got a message from the coach to say, congratulations, all your hard work is paid off, and you've been selected to go to the 2014 World Cup in Holland. And I was like, sure, this is real now. We're not playing little Sunday league hockey anymore. We're on the big stage. And it was quite a big one because we had it in Holland, and they turned one of the soccer stadiums into a hockey stadium just for that World Cup. And it was I think it was a 20,000 seater stadium, and they pulled up the grass and they laid an Astro down, and it was mind blowing. I've never been, I had it, or up until that point, hadn't been to a tournament of that standard or anything. And here I was, this like relatively young, pretty young goalkeeper, rubbing shoulders with goalkeepers who've been nominated for goalkeeper of the year. And it's like you watch these guys and you see them, like, I'm never gonna meet this guy. And then you get there and you're I'm playing against him. You shake, he shook his hand on the, in the pre-match presentation thing, and you're like, sure, we're actually here. Like, you're singing the national anthem. It was a super special time to get all of that done and have that opportunity to go to that first World Cup.
Which player were you most happy to frustrate the most in that World Cup? I'm sure there's that one striker that everyone sort of feared, and you were able to get one over him. Where every shot he took, you got one over him, and you looked at that. You're like, you know what? I'm meant to be here. when did you get like when did you find get yourself into that mode, like see yourself in that moments where or realization, sorry, get yourself into that realization that you're meant to be here, you know, in the World Cup.
That World Cup, it was I was the second choice keeper, so I only got I think 14 minutes out of a month of hockey in that time. So I didn't play that much. So I sat a lot of bench. I was a really good water boy and second choice goalkeeper to the goalkeeper
Yeah,
at the time. But the time that I did have that moment was at the Commonwealth Games in 2018.
2018, yeah.
Um, yeah, we went to the Gold Coast for Commonwealth Games. Had a relatively young side, and the Australian team were just on fire at that time. They beat the Dutch in that 2014 World Cup. I think they beat them 6-1 in the final, but they just made them look like average humans. And I remember playing against the Aussies in the Gold Coast in that or on the Gold Coast in that Commonwealth Games, and they had guys like Jeremy Hayward and Mark Knowles and Jamie Dwyer, and Jamie Dwyer was the number one forward at the time. He was probably one of the up and coming flickers, and he only managed to get one past me in the game. We kept everything else out. We ended up losing the game 3-1, but it was like one of those games. It's a highlight of my career to be involved in one of those. So it was one of those games where these Aussies have just made the Dutch look silly 4 years before, and then we come here and we actually do okay against them. So that would be my first moment to be like, yeah, I actually belong on the world stage here.
Yeah. I mean, also to everyone who just joined the chat, we are live with Gowan Jones here, SA men's goalkeeper, and we're just basically talking about his story and journey from playing from Riverside and Northwood all the way to going on to represent South Africa in the 2024 Paris Olympics, which must have been one of the most amazing experiences. I mean, your journey alone has been amazing. And also, shout out to your wife. Thank her for me for driving you from the airport and getting you back home in time for the interview. And also thank you for her, because I see her in the background with the kids, trying to settle down the kids. But shout out to her. She's a champion, honestly. But back to you, Colin. You go on to play 2018 World Cup and Olympics. Let's also mention the African Cup of Nations that you've also been part of. You know, I mean, you guys finally won the first one in 2022? You finally won your first one in 2022. Sorry.
I went on in 2022 where we qualified for in 2021 where we qualified for the no, it was 2022. Sorry, yeah, you're right. Where we qualified for the World Cup and for the Commonwealth Games in that year, and that was always a weird tournament for me because that tournament team generally got selected after an IPT, and I'd obviously missed out on a few of them before, and not being selected and everything like that. And then we went through to Ghana for my first African Cup, and people, I feel, who have never experienced an African Cup before. I know we come super hard at Bafana for not winning AFCON, and how can we not win it, and how can you underperform there, but. Yeah, playing in Africa is tough. Playing in Africa it's so difficult. Even some of the European guys that we play against, they're like, you've only got to qualify through Africa. You've only got to beat Ghana and Nigeria and Egypt. But when you get to these tournaments, it's tough. They throw everything at you. I mean, we've gone to tournaments before where in Egypt where they've either flooded the turf so you can't practice. Or they don't put water on the turf, so your practice session doesn't happen the same way it should, because you have to have a nice thin layer of water on the Astro. Sometimes the buses don't arrive for practice, so you've got no transport to get there. These are all the curveballs that that get thrown at you, and
Yeah.
people don't realize it, you know. So when we look at Bafana and we go, yeah, you know, a bunch of losers, they couldn't beat someone in Africa, but like it's tough out there. It's so tough. Even when we played against Egypt in the final in Pretoria in 20, I mean, we played against Egypt. None of the other African countries were rooting for us in the final. Everyone was cheering for Egypt in the final, and yeah, it's a
But
hell of
doesn't
a
that
difficult
motivate you
tournament.
though as a team? Doesn't that motivate you guys as a team? I mean, whenever I play sports, right? I loved so I'm the type of sportsman. I build this mentality of it's me against the world. So I think that what pushes me forward to be able to perform well and play my best. Um, I've seen also coaches who also do that. Like for example, Rassi. I think Rassi also does the same for his team. With the Springboks, we've seen coaches who do that in the international stage in other sporting codes. Like for example, Jose Mourinho. He's that type of coach. Doesn't that motivates you as you specifically as a player, where you find that you get people against you. You're not an underdog, right? But people are against you. So basically, it's you against the world. So a mentality that kind of pushes you forward into being able to play your best and perform your utmost best.
Found in I can't comment on other sports because I haven't been at a high level, you know, of another sporting discipline. But just from a hockey point of view, you know, there's so much respect between players and between fans and things like that. I mean, at that African Cup when nobody else was supporting us and everyone else was
Recently.
supporting Egypt, you know, we ended up winning the game, and you know, people came up to us after the game and were like, sure, you know, you guys played really well. You know, you had to dig deep there. You know, congratulations. And you know, not even 5 minutes before that, they were booing you when you made a save, and you know, they were having a go at you when you're talking to the umpire and stuff like that. So there is a bit of respect in the game there. I would assume it's in every other sport as well. You know, the
Yeah,
fans are
definitely.
always there to ruffle your feathers, and you know, you're meant to be a professional and you're meant to take this on the chin and you know, block out all that noise. And yeah, I found in the hockey circles there's definitely a bit of respect and that. Yeah.
I mean, it's not just in hockey. I think the respect parts where you find athletes, as much as we might be rivals sometimes, at the end of the game, we able to go out and have a beer together, or able to stay back and just chat, get to get to get to reconnect basically as humans besides athletes, because at the end of the day we are humans. We need to reconnect amongst each other. But Riverside, you've been at Riverside, like you said, you've been at Riverside since your early years as a player, as an athlete, with Northwood. I mean, I've had conversations with former players who've said, the journey of, I know you, I don't know, I might be wrong, you possibly have never played overseas. Haven't you ever thought of possibly taking that next step and, trying out the European scene and seeing how can you feel also in that? I don't know, just going out there, seeing how can you do also. I mean, what have your thoughts been about that?
I've played two seasons over in Ireland. I
Mm,
did a season for Pembroke Wanderers in 2010, 2011. And then I
yeah.
did another season over in Ireland for another club called Corinthians in 2013, 2014. Um, I've had my two stints overseas, and the level of hockey is obviously a lot higher than what it is here in South Africa from a club point of view. Um, and it's really good for players to get over there. I mean, I think in our Olympic squad that we had now for Paris, Um, and 2 or 3 of us that don't play over in Europe. The rest of our guys in the 18-man squad all play in Europe somewhere.
Yeah.
And yeah, I still say to my wife, I'd love to go back over and try a season, either in Belgium, Holland, or Germany. Tick that box and be like, yeah, I actually am good enough, even though, yeah, I've been around in the national scene for a while and all of that, but to play in these club leagues where it's week in and week out, to get that kind of experience and that kind of, yeah, that experience for 3 months at a time, in a foreign country, and then to perform and then to come back and go, yeah, okay, I actually am good enough to be there, that has crossed my mind, but it is quite a difficult one going over with, 2 kids and taking a whole family across there. You have to, you've got to make a job out of it. And I suppose it's with any sport. I mean, you've seen with Sio Khaleesi now with racing, letting him go and stuff like that. As much as the clubs want you over there, they're also very quick to say thanks for your time, but we don't need you anymore. So it's a tricky one. If you, like, as a hockey player, we don't get paid to play for South Africa. We don't get paid to play club. We don't get paid to play provincial hockey and stuff like that. So if I go over and play in Europe, it's on me, and I have to make it work, for me and my family. I don't have, $1 million in the bank account that I can just, whip out and be like, yeah, it's okay. I've got Adidas as a sponsor. They're paying me a bucket load of money. It's okay. So that's the tricky one. So a lot of guys do go over and they do make a life out of it. They do make a career out of it. And we're seeing the benefits of that in South African hockey at the moment, where we've got a big group of players that are playing over in Europe. And it's definitely making the standard of hockey in South Africa a lot better.
I mean, how's that also? I mean, I know in every sporting code, people have their different challenges. I think one of the challenges for you guys within hockey will be the lack of support. You spoke about the lack of support on the financial side. Basically, how how do you guys do it? Basically, being able to be honest, what? As much as I'm not getting that financial backing, but I'm here because I love to be here. Because we've seen in other countries where it's all other sports where as soon as players are not getting the financial backing, they automatically just they are saying, what, if you guys are not gonna support me financially, I'm out. Of which can be a challenge also because, like you said, you have a family to support, and like how do you block that off your mind and be like, I'm doing this because I love doing this, and the other things would come along, other opportunities would come along to kind of help me out financially and be able to push forward.
At the end of the day, I am a professional athlete. Yes, I don't get paid, a salary that our cricketers, our soccer players, and rugby players do. But I have the job that I have at the school that I work at is through hockey. So in that regard, hockey's given me this platform to. I think if I didn't play hockey, I wouldn't have had a foot in the door to get that position at the school that I'm at the moment. And I think that's where the mindset has to change from a hockey player's point of view in this country. Is we can't be like, yeah, well, I don't get paid 300,000 rand a month sort of thing to play my sport, but I get other opportunities to do and to make things happen. It does become quite tricky to take unpaid leave, and you have to take time away from your family and also pay for tours to go on. Sometimes you do think like, sure, is it actually worth doing all of this? And then it's not just the financial thing, it's also the training that you do. You got to train, and you got to do all of that all these other professionals do, and then still pay for yourself. So there are, there are moments where, we deep in the trenches in a game. And I think that's where it comes, I think that's where it works in our favor as a hockey side. Is we be there. We are there because we're also paying for ourselves to be there. So if we're going to go to a tournament and we're going to mess around and we're just going to have a laugh and just be childish, it's an expensive trip for us, and it's a lot of money to go over, to Holland and go do a training camp, and you've paid for your flights, and then you just that's maybe a positive side that we have as national players in this country.
Yeah, sheesh, man. That's deep. But you also mentioned something there about being a coach. So to give you a story of what happened yesterday, before sending you the graphics for today's show, one of your coaches at the school you coach at, so I posted the picture. He's like but that's my coach. Um, I was like, oh yeah, cool. Then you should just watch the show. I don't know if he's watching right now. I don't know if he's watching right now. If he's watching, man, glad to have you on the show. But you mentioned that you're also a coach. I'm sure you must have a great respect for your own coaches also at the same time. You play, you coach. How's the difference being able to switch on your coach's brain whenever you're a player for Riverside or for the SA men's side, and then you need to come back whenever you are at Northwood or whenever you're at the school you coach at, if I'm not mistaken, it is Maristella. How is it being able to switch that on and off, being a coach, having to balance being a coach and being a player? Especially also you are at the highest level of the game within the sporting code you are in.
Sometimes that is a tricky one, especially when you come back from a training camp, or you come back from a tournament where all you've done, like the Olympics now. I mean, we were in Belgium for 2 weeks. All we did in Belgium for 2 weeks was train. We were doing 3 sessions a day. We were doing specific stuff. We went into the village and we're there in the village for 3.5 weeks, and all we did for that 5.5 week period was just hockey.
Mm.
And have to come and coach my under 14 girls that I work with at the school, and then also to come and coach the prep school girls, the under 13 girls and under 12s. It's like it's a massive step down, but at the end of the day, those kids, you've got a responsibility to those kids as well. You've got to give them, the same amount of energy that your national coaches gave you while you were at the pinnacle of your sport. You've got to give those kids, because if you don't give them all of that energy, we might lose a diamond in the rough, and that player might be like, yeah, well, the coach doesn't care about me. They don't make sessions fun. They don't give me information. So I'm just going to move on to another sport. And for me, I've been given this opportunity to play at the highest level, and I need to give as much information back to the coach as best I can. We're all human at the end of the day. You said it, and we go through these patches where you're hell of a grumpy. You've had a hard day at work, but you get to a training session, and there's a 14-year-old kid who just wants to play hockey and just wants to be good. And you've got to give them that respect as well, because they've also had a tough day. They're also trying their best, and that. So to come back and do that, but did pretty well. It generally does take me a week to kind of find my feet again and be like, oh, I can't be coaching them that, because that's that's too high a grade for this level, or they don't need to have that skill set now. And like almost dumb it down to what a 13-year-old needs to have.
I mean, that must be the trickiest part, hey, having to keep the kids interested in playing and wanting to learn more, finding new ways to get them. I know whenever at my school, your son will tell you, I try and find different ways to kind of make sure that they're learning something new, but also be having fun at the same time. Hi, buddy. Try and help them along and giving them the information and helping them understand the information as to why we're doing this and how is this going to help them along moving going forward. Um, I think for you also that must be one of the trickiest parts as to your professional going from 10 weeks of nothing but hockey and just living breathing hockey, kind of going on to just coming back to finding ways to kind of keep these kids involved and wanting to play and wanting to actually learn and wanting to play the sports hopefully one day professionally. As also I'm sure they look up to you as my I'm sure they answer my coach is playing in the Paris Olympics or my coach is playing in the Paris Olympics. um how like how do you balance out those challenges also?
And with the previous stuff, it is very difficult to do that. And I think the way that we treat these kids is go to a game on a Saturday, and they've only got their parents that are there watching. But for that one child, that is potentially the biggest game that they might ever play in
Mm,
today. And we've got to give them that respect, and we've got to give them the best opportunity to perform at that level. And that level might be under nine, where they play with little goals and no goalkeepers, and fun for them. And how do we make it memorable for them that
mm.
it keeps them in the game? Because it's to go to the Olympics. Not everyone gets to go to a World Cup. Not everyone them, but
I'm sorry, Gowan, I
to
can't hear you. Sorry, I lost sound. I lost the sound for a second there. I still, I think I'm still, I can see you still moving on
yes.
the picture,
How's
but
that?
it's the same. Yeah, better, very much better.
Is that better? Okay.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so it's a tough one because like I was saying, you've got those kids on a Saturday who it's that Saturday game, it might be their Olympic final, at that standard, and
Mm,
you've got to give them that respect to give them all of that information that they need to play that game. And not everyone gets to go to a World Cup or an Olympics, or even wear the green and gold, in whatever sport they're in. But if we can keep more people playing sports, it just makes everything better. And it's yeah, from my perspective, coaching a variety of age groups, it's so cool to see these kids on a Saturday, or to see them at a training session, having a laugh with their friends, learning one or two new things, and just coming back week in and week out and playing. That's the biggest thing, is to keep them there, not chase them away. Like, especially these youngsters that you're working with, you got to try and come up with new little games that might not
definitely.
be a sport specific game, but it teaches them
Yeah,
something within that sport that might enjoy.
yeah. I mean, we now move on to now. I want to come back to you as a player, as an athlete. Um, I mean, Olympics. You you played at Olympics, World Cups, Commonwealths. I think I'm near to ask you this question. Who was the main inspiration behind Gowan Jones and being where you are right now? Who pushed you? Who inspired you to go forward? And I know I know the easiest answer would be your wife and the kids right now. But
Mm.
back then, before the wife and kids, who was it that pushed you into, you know, pushed you into becoming the athlete that you are, the competitor that you are right now?
So I think I think it would definitely be my parents. They supported me with whatever I wanted to do. So if it was, you know, playing cricket or playing hockey or playing soccer. I mean, my dad used to coach me from when I was 3 years old. So, he definitely started that athlete's lifestyle, back then.
I'm seeing
And
a trend here. I'm sorry,
yeah,
but I'm seeing a trend here for hockey guys. Dad is always the coach. I know when I spoke to Wade, also Coach Wade was he also gone on to coach the men's side, SA side, and then you find Tane and Wade, who are also up there. Tane is still playing. Wade has retired. I'm seeing a trend with you guys. Dad is always involved. You know,
yeah, yeah. Someone's
but
always got
yeah,
to be involved there, putting out the cones and kicking a ball to you and doing stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, the Olympics is always that event that you watch, and like, I mean, I think everyone who had the opportunity to watch any part of the Olympics was glued to their screen, whether they were watching, wrestling or whatever other random sports they have at the Olympics, and it's like, sure, that's so cool to see. Um, yeah, I think it all came from my mom and my dad. I think my dad was probably the main one. um, he was always on the side of the field with me. When I was at Northwood, he was always trying to research on how to train me differently in the gym to what other guys were doing, or how to do something that can help with my reactions, or how to do something. I mean, I remember he even started printing out like match sheets, of how many saves I'd make in a game and where I would make a save, and if I let a goal in, where did the goal go in, and like, I mean, I'm 35 years old, and I'm almost old enough to go play a bit of masters hockey now, and like, my dad will still come down on a Sunday afternoon, watch the game, and I'll concede a goal, and you know, he'll be there on the side of the field after the game going, so how did you let that one in? How did that go past you? And I'm like, sure, Dad. Like, not right now. Like, this is not what we need. Um, but yeah, I definitely think it'll be mom and dad. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I'm sure you'll also love to see your son, hopefully, follow in the footsteps. Because I mean, I've seen him play. You can tell that he's had some coaching also there, from with like, because whenever I see him with the boys he plays with in his age group, I think he's one of the well coached boys. You can tell when a kid is well coached, or when he gets private coaching from outside school, and you got something there. I'm sure you also one day possibly be there coaching him from the high from primary school level until he possibly goes on to in his 35s, possibly, who knows, and he ends up representing SA. I mean, that would be something else, having dad representing SA, son also goes on to do the same.
Mm.
I mean, that moving, but what can we see from you within the next 5 years? You're 35 right now, 5 years away from the big 4-0. Uh, could we see Gowan pushing for that big 4-0 and still be playing, or is Gowan thinking, you know what, at some point I need to think about that big word that I don't want to mention right now, but RETIRE.
Yeah, my wife's gonna kill me as well. I'm pretty sure we've had this conversation, but Paris was meant to be like my, I'm gonna give it everything for Paris, and that'll be kind of the end of my career, sort of thing. And yeah, I'm not at a point yet where I feel I need to retire. I'm gonna keep. I'm gonna go for another 2 years. I'm gonna try for another 2 years. There's another World Cup coming around. There's another Commonwealth Games. So I'm gonna see how the body can do, and how it can handle another 2 years of this game. And you
Yeah,
know what? I've also got to be realistic with myself. I think the LA Olympics might just be too far for me. I'll be 39 then. I'll have to train a lot smarter than what I am training now. Have to train a little bit harder in other aspects. The guys who are coming through the ranks are, sure, they 12 years younger than me, 13 years younger than me, so they've got
Yeah.
all the youth on their side. Yeah, experience does play a big role in this game, especially as a goalkeeper. But yeah, I think there are
I
definitely going to
mean,
be
they say
ways and
goalkeepers
things that
don't
I'm going to have to change.
I mean, they say goalkeepers don't have a limit when it comes to for how long they can play. We saw Gigi Buffon with in the football realm playing until he's 42. Edwin van der
Yeah.
Sar also doing the same. I mean, you can also replicate that and end up going to LA. Who knows?
Yeah, they were also very fortunate that they also had a big fat paycheck every month, which makes it easier.
Yeah.
But no, listen, you know what? Yeah, I'm not at a point yet where I feel retirement is where I'm at in my career at the moment. Like I said, I'm definitely going to push for the next 2 years, and then see what happens after that. You know what? I might go for another 4 years, and I might be that old guy that pushes the youngsters to perform at LA, and that's also good enough for me. You don't want to be in a situation where you leave the goalkeeping group with no experience. Um,
Mm,
I'm sitting on 95 caps at the moment. And the next guy I think has got 20 odd caps, so you don't want to leave a gap of experience for the next
yeah.
one to try and catch up to. So if I can hang around and I can give some experience and give some of my experiences onto the next group, then I think we'll put that next group in a better position. So I think if I do go 4 years and that last 2 years is me just being there for the youngsters to learn off and feed off, then I'm also good with that.
Yeah, I mean, Gowan, it's been a great pleasure chatting to you today. And again, shout out to your wife for getting you from the airports all the way back home. And glad to see you had a safe trip back from Namibia, man. And hope to chat with you again in the near future to have you here as one of our guests. Um, to everyone who's been watching, you guys are watching myself, Smooth Noble, chatting to Gowan Jones, SA men's goalkeeper. I had represented SA in two World Cups, one Commonwealth, if I'm not mistaken, one Commonwealth, and two Olympics. Um, Gowan, again, thank you very much. And you guys can catch us on all social media platforms at Sandman_sports. And also hit that like or follow button, but also subscribe to us. You can also catch Gowan Jones on social media ads.
Sure, Gowan J32 on Instagram, and the good old just Gowan Jones on Facebook. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you can also catch me at Spoo_Global. And hi, Sports Mastery. Thank you for joining us finally. I hope you've been having a better week. Hope to catch you on our show possibly in the near future, man. Hope you get well. But yeah, that's from me, Spoo and Gowan Jones. Thank you very much, everyone.
Yeah, super. Thank you so much for your time, and it's been great chatting to you. And yeah, hopefully we don't have a chat in 4 years' time where I announce a retirement.
Yeah,
Yeah,
hopefully not. But yeah, thank you. Thank
no,
you again, Gowan.
no, only a pleasure.
Ciao. Bye bye.
Epic. Thanks, man. Thanks for all the work that you guys do behind the scenes as well. It's